Yeah, well, let me see. All right. Hey, so we are live on a surprise broadcast that absolutely nobody knows about. Happy Sunday, everyone.
Happy Sunday.
Yes, today's Sunday, the 30th of July. And normally we would probably have at least one or two viewers, at least Michael would be here waiting for us. But we are doing our live broadcast a little early this week. So if you want to just watch it at our normal time on Monday at noon,
Yes.
go for it. But
Thank you.
Carly's got some travel coming up that
Right.
she's got to take care of.
Well, we can't
are
talk about attractions without doing attractions.
exactly,
So, we live these experiences to share our wealth of knowledge.
So thank you for your. Oh, hey. So even though we were completely a surprise, we still have we've still got Blossom in Derek's corner. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. All right. So you've got to go. I've got to go. We got things to do, people to see.
Lots of good news.
So let's just kick this thing off in 3, 2.
Please lower your head and watch your step while boarding.
Welcome to the Attractions Podcast. You are all clear for dispatch. Have fun.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. And I am going to restart that because I did not have my microphone on. So
your fancy microphone.
I know. How did I manage it? It is one of those mornings, guys. But that's okay because it's just us right now. It's just the 17 of us. But Michael Bingham is here, so
hey.
We couldn't start properly without Michael. Since I cannot hear myself, can you hear me, Carly?
Perfectly.
Okay. Do I sound a little better now that the microphone's actually near my mouth?
Absolutely. Yes.
Thank you.
Great.
All right. Next time I do that, let me know.
Such a fancy.
All right. Thank you for those of you who join us to experience that little bit of behind the scenes magic. Thank you so much. And we are going to kick this thing off for a second time in 3, 2.
Please lower your head and watch your step while boarding.
Welcome to the Attractions Podcast. You are all clear for dispatch. Have fun.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 202 of the Attractions Podcast, sponsored by MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. I'm Seth.
And I'm Carly.
And we are here to talk to you about the latest and greatest in theme park news and more, as well as what's going on in our own lives. Carly, how have you been this week, and where are you on your way off to?
Yes, thank you, everyone. This is not Monday. You are not supposed to be at work, Magic City Mayhem. So I am going to Orlando tomorrow. So I have a lot of fun activities. There's a lot of new stuff going on down there that I have to experience to be able to share with everyone. So thank you all for joining in a little bit earlier on a Sunday. It's weird. This is like prime brunch time, but I'm right now in New York. I went to see a Broadway show. Life is good.
Fantastic. I have been here in Orlando. Hopefully I will get to run into you maybe while you're down here. If not, there's always the next time because you're always back.
Yes. I need to visit Crockett's Tavern this week. So
okay.
New menu,
all right, maybe
reopen. So maybe we can meet up.
But it's not all you can eat anymore, right? Wasn't that the one that was the buffet back in the day?
Trails End was a buffet and family style. Now it's just individual portions and family style that you could take back to your cabin. You can also get individual portions of Hoop-Dee-Doo's legendary strawberry shortcake.
Oh.
And Crockett's Tavern has a totally new food menu. And they're doing an old-fashioned program that's going to change up with seasonal ingredients. So that is like the top of my list of what I need to do at Walt Disney World this week.
Excellent. Well, I can't wait for you to report back. I made a little visit to the theme parks, doing some testing out of touring plans for my upcoming book. But the thing that I wanted to insert in here, it's both personal and it's news. We had to say goodbye to a good friend of Attractions Magazine and the whole theme park community this week. Jim Korkus, who was a Disney historian. He was a Disney employee, both as a performer and also working for the Disney Institute when that was an educational program back in the day. He worked in California and in Florida, and I got to know him over the last, couple decades. And we even worked on some books together. I last saw him at an event at Give Kids the World, which he was a big supporter of. Just a really wonderful guy, and contributed a lot of really fantastic Disney history books. He was writing about Song of the South and Splash Mountain before a lot of other people were talking about that. He's done amazing research. And I know he was working on a bunch of new stuff before he passed away. And I hope someone's able to rescue his research and his notes, because he did a lot of important stuff that I think will just be lost now. And it's definitely going to miss him. So thank you, Jim, for everything. If you didn't know him, or if you did and you want to know more, we have a great interview that we reposted that was done with him, I think back in 2015 or so, for the magazine. So go to attractionsmagazine.com. We've got that posted, and read that and think of Jim.
Yeah, and his family.
Yeah. Oh, yes. And I'm sorry. Yes, his brother, who I think got to talk to him just before he passed away, and all of his family and his friends, thoughts go out to everyone. So on on that sad note, we are now going to, without any further ado, launch into the news in the queue. All right. Well, if you want to, I guess, raise your glass to Jim at Disneyland, or just drink your troubles away in general at the happiest place on earth, alcohol is going to be served even more widely in the original Disneyland park starting on September 12th.
Yes.
It's been a gradual drip over the years. It was a big shock, years ago when they first announced that you would be able to get alcohol outside of Club 33, when they added Galaxy's Edge with Uga's Cantina. But since then, we've seen it spread to the Blue Bayou, and now you're going to be able to get cocktails and beer and wine in Carnation Cafe, in Riverbell Terrace, in Cafe Orleans. So more places to get a buzz on in Disneyland Park.
Absolutely. Yeah. So this basically operates, if you think of it the same way as Magic Kingdom Park. So you're not going to be walking around throwing back a White Claw.
No counter service.
Yes, no counter service.
No drinking around the kingdom.
No. But what I do love is the outside patio of Carnation Cafe. That's where is one of the places where you can soon be able to drink. Drinking along Main Street is a magical thing. I don't know. There's something about it. I love like Tony's at Magic Kingdom Park, sitting outside, having a drink and watching everything go by. I love Disneyland Paris at Waltz, how you overlook Main Street and have a drink. So to me, that caught my eye, because I'm like, you know what? I might do that. I don't usually drink at Magic Kingdom Park. I mean, at Disneyland, maybe one at Oga's, but.
Right. Well, I would say you feel that way about Carnation Cafe. That's how I feel about Cafe Orleans. I love sitting on the patio out there. Back in the day, they used to just let you order a plate of pommes frites, which are like the best French fries on Disneyland property. Now you got to get something in order to get them, but fine. Sit there, just people watch along the rivers of America, watch people going through New Orleans Square. That will be a lot more fun with a drink, granted.
Yes.
But on the other hand, serving alcohol makes people tend to linger longer over their meals, and it's already hard enough to get a reservation at some of these tables. So I'm wondering what that'll do to throughput and average dwell time at some of these restaurants. So
Definitely. I mean,
curious
if
to
anything,
see how that works out.
right. I hope it like jacks up the bill, tip the cast members even better with a higher bill. So that's
Yes.
the good part about
Yes.
it. Yeah, we'll definitely see, but this is exciting. I mean, I think pretty much we kind of expected this would eventually happen because it's just been a slow spread.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's been gradual. I mean, we haven't been quite gotten to the point where they're, selling shots at the little corn dog wagon.
Oh God.
But, I mean, it is what it is. Would Walt be rolling over in his grave? I don't know. Walt would be smoking a cigarette, so and that you
And
can't do that in
drinking a
the park.
Scotch
And
mist.
drinking a scotch, exactly. So what are you gonna do?
Right. That's progress.
That's progress. Well, this kicks off September 12th. Like I mentioned, there will be wine, beer, specialty cocktails, along with mocktails. So if you want to pretend like you're drinking alcohol, and without the buzz, that will be possible too. And of course, if you don't want to wait till September 12th, you can go over to California Adventure Park, and they I don't know, they practically have beer coming out of the water fountains there.
Yes.
So.
And these cocktails at Disneyland, they're all pre-batched. So just like my preference, I don't like sugary things. That's like a waste of calories. It gives you heartburn. Stick to beer or wine, I would say, if you want a drink, because it's
I tell you what, if you are in a theme park this summer, I would be sticking to water,
right.
or I don't know, because Gatorade or something, because no matter what form it is, if it's wine, if it's beer, if it's shots of vodka, it is not hydrating you. It is just sucking it out of you. You are going to have to stay immersed in Discovery Cove in order to avoid drying out when you're down here in the Orlando heat, because it is rough out there. I spent a day at Islands of Adventure, and I never ever do water rides, and I had to do all three.
You did Dudley's?
I did Dudley's. I did Popeye. I was so soaked, and normally I would be miserable, but it was better than the heat without the wet clothes. So
absolutely,
yep.
My heart goes out to the people that do rope drop till close during the summer, because I could barely go.
I was done
for a few hours.
By 1 p.m. I was done. By 1 p.m. I had to just drag myself back to the car. Yeah. So yes, word to the wise: if you are theme parking this summer, water over alcohol for sure. All right, moving on. Knott's Berry Farm is marking a morbid milestone. They are celebrating their 50th anniversary of Knott's Scary Farm this Halloween season, and they've got new mazes with nods to some of their infamous haunts from years past.
This is so exciting. This is so, I mean, it's such a great haunt. It's also just the haunt that started it all. We would have nothing without Knott's Scary Farm. That goes all the way back. I mean, they first started with the monsters, the sliders. So it's so exciting. And then if you guys have been following with Midsummer Scream, last night was the Knott's presentation, and they announced a whole slew of extra stuff, like a really cool lounge fly. There's a new Knott's Scary Farm 50th book coming out. So this is the year. If you haven't gone to Knott's Scary Farm, if you slept on it, this I think is the year to go. Your mind will be blown.
You know, I've been to Universal's Halloween out in Hollywood, but I have never been to Knott's Berry Farm, and I need to, because you're right. A lot of the traditions that we associate with theme park haunt events in general were birthed at Knott's Berry Farm. 1973. On this day in 1973, the first Halloween haunt. Wow. So the dates for this year's event, it is kicking off on September 21st. So you've got the 21st through the 24th, the 28th through October 1st, the 4th of October through the 8th, the 11th through the 15th, 18th through the 22nd, and the 25th all the way through Halloween night.
Yes,
Um,
and so they go deep into, like, their history within the mazes,
mhm.
haunted houses, but you don't need to know any of that stuff. You could just go and enjoy it for face value, but if you
Yep.
are a not nerd like me, look up some of the curses of Calico, look at these
Yep.
insane presentations they used to do, like a witch hanging. You will enjoy it even infinitely more, but you will love it at face value too. You don't have to know all this nitty-gritty stuff.
Yep. Here's another thing. Single night admission is pretty reasonable. There are all sorts of discounts available, and it starts at $60 a night, which is definitely cheaper than, say, Universal's Halloween events.
Yeah, and
Um,
there's so many monsters in the streets. Like, yeah, it's a little different if you're used to
yeah,
Universals. There's so much fog. It's really every corner of the park, and you could be sitting on the bench and a slider will come at you. I think they have something like
no.
1,000 monsters, or it's a really crazy high number. There's no way to really escape them, and the fog is really, really thick. But it's amazing if you love this.
I feel like I've kind of said this before that over the years, Universal has made their scare actors less aggressive, in part to make them less vulnerable, but also less in your face, less immersive. And I feel like a place like Knott's or Busch Gardens also is kind of a little bit more old school
Mhm.
in the way that they aren't as afraid to get in your face and really freak you out.
Yeah,
So,
excellent.
if you were looking for more information about Knott's, knottsscaryfarm.com. SeaWorld has given us a little bit of a tease. They have kind of, sort of confirmed that they are building a new roller coaster for 2024. We have an article up online from John Self that kind of details the clues that they've been dropping. But it looks like they are going to have maybe a straddle coaster or a toboggan style coaster coming to the parks, replacing what was the dark ride portion of the Antarctica penguin exhibit.
Very cool. I mean, they're just like rocking and rolling. I mean, how are they churning them out this fast? We had
Yeah.
Pipeline just opened. It's exciting. I mean, they're definitely aggressive about their transition from marine park to now like we're a coaster kingdom. So it's very interesting, but I kind of love it to see how, they're staying on top of it and they really have made that pivot and they're sticking to it.
So the first big clue was on July 21st. They made a little joke about Amazon Prime Day and showed that they've taken delivery of some roller coaster tracks built in Switzerland, which is home to a number of big coaster manufacturers. And the clues kind of add up to a straddle coaster or a motorbike style coaster. Um, they've installed one similar to these in both Busch Gardens Williamsburg and SeaWorld in San Diego, and they've got a habit of kind of reproducing a model or a style in multiple parks. So this is maybe going to be. I wouldn't look as anything as well themed or as elaborate as Hagrid's Magical Creatures.
Or even maybe
Uh,
Dark Coaster.
yeah, yeah. Dark Coaster is a mostly an indoor ride. I think
Right.
this one. I think this one's going to be a lot closer to this Arctic Rescue that they opened out in
Right.
San Diego, which is you're riding what looks like a little kind of jet ski type vehicle. Um, it's sort of like closest to the sidecar, I think, of Hagrid more
Mhm.
than the upright bike, sort of halfway in between. But that style in a family friendly, it'll probably be a launch coaster, but I'm not going to look for anything super high speed, nothing with inversions. And there'll probably be a dark ride element to it, reusing some of the Antarctic area, but I think most of this is going to be outdoors, not indoors.
It looks fun. It could be great if we get
Yeah,
something like San
it
Diego.
could be fun.
Yeah.
We've had some mixed reviews from the San Diego one.
Yeah.
You know, it is what it is. It's a fairly mild, family friendly. You know, it's accessible to a wide height range, but it's not. You know, no one is taking a vacation out there just to ride that.
Right.
So we will keep an eye out for more hints and clues from SeaWorld Orlando, but look for that to be coming sometime in 2024.
Wow, soon.
And now for something completely different.
Yes.
Have you ever wondered to yourself, what are the most Instagrammable Disney snacks?
Every day.
Every single day.
Every single
Wonder
day.
no more, because someone at the Disney Travel Planning Experts Magic Guides took the time to go through Instagram hashtags for over 50 food and drink options that are exclusive to the Disney parks, and counted up the numbers to find out which are the most Instagrammable snacks at Disney. There's absolutely no attention paid here to which ones are the most
Delicious.
tasty,
Yeah.
which are the ones that just get Instagrammed and then thrown into the garbage immediately after the picture is taken. I have my opinion of I know which one I think that is. But I think we can all agree no one is throwing out a Dole Whip. That came in at the top of the list. Number one most Instagrammable snack, and I think also probably number one most edible snack. The traditional pineapple flavored Dole Whip, which is vegan, by the way. That topped the list with an average of 58,000 Google searches each month worldwide.
Interesting. I mean, it hits the spot. It's delicious. You know it. You love it.
Yeah. No, I mean, you will never ever go wrong with a Dole Whip. However, choice number 2, the second most instant worthy treat. Anyone? Yes.
Ooh.
Blue milk from Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, which is certainly Instagrammable. It's tweetable. I took, I don't know, a reel or a short or whatever back in the day, of my opinion of blue milk, which was basically me taking one sip and instantly throwing the rest into the garbage.
Hey, it should be a Ronco wrapping number 2, not blue milk. It doesn't even look that cool.
Yeah, and you know they've also got green milk here at number 4. I think, yeah, I would agree that the blue is slightly better than the green,
but not
in the sense that I would slightly rather drink shampoo than conditioner, but I'd really rather drink neither. Number 3 is the classic Mickey pretzel, which that never goes wrong.
You know what? When you're in a pinch and you feel like your blood sugar dropping, even if the pretzel is like kind of stale, been sitting in there, get that little cheese cup, and it does the trick. It serves its purpose. And I did that. It was a couple of weeks ago. We just didn't have a chance to sit down, never ate, had half a Mickey pretzel each, and I was ready to go.
Can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong.
Mickey waffles, Disney popcorn buckets.
Ooh, always, yes.
Mickey beignets, anything basically shaped as Mickey's head. People love eating the severed head of a beloved mascot. And I am glad to see this one making the list, rounding out the end, the Pandoran signature drinks. These the Night Blossom, this multi-layered drink with the popping boba on top. I'm low-key addicted to those, so I'm glad that made it.
And you can get a better pretzel than a Mickey pretzel there too.
Yes, you can. You can get the lumpia too, which to me, it's not particularly Instagrammable. It's not the prettiest thing, but if we're gonna make a list of most edible, and one that I'm a little surprised did not make the list, but it is on our list of 6 bang for your buck snacks at Disneyland, which you can find that article on our website, is the classic Matterhorn macaroon. I have to have one of those every single time I'm at Disneyland.
And you know
on Main
what? It's
Street.
like one of the best coconut macaroons ever. It's always so fresh. I don't think I've ever had a bad one.
It's never stale.
Yep.
It's got just the right amount of frosting, and it's huge. Like you can share that and be just fine. So,
Well, now I want to start.
well, I guess next time you're Instagramming in the parks, hashtag Attractions Magazine for us, and we'll take a look at what you are Instagramming at the Disney parks. And we're going to wrap up this news section with some sad news from the Disneyland Resort. Fantasmic is going to return eventually. That's the good thing, but not until 2024. And saddest of all, not with Murphy. The big dragon is, at least for now, done.
Yeah, this was a little shocking. I personally don't know why it would return at all. I feel like it's a little different. If Hollywood Studios needs a nighttime spectacular, but Disneyland already has fireworks. You can go over to DCA and see World of Color one. So for this to return kind of as a shadow of its former self, I don't know if it's necessary. I don't know. I was kind of torn on this.
Yeah. From an operational point of view, I greatly appreciate what Fantasmic does in terms of drawing a large amount of guests away from Main Street, away from Tomorrowland and kind of the whole east side of the park. The crowds on Main Street are bad enough as it is for the fireworks. If you did not have that Fantasmic performance pulling a lot of people away who then wind up watching the fireworks from River of Main Street,
right.
The south and the east side of the park, it would become gridlock. Plus, it gives employment to a lot of live actors. You don't need live performers to run the fireworks show, or what it is on a lot of nights, just the projection show, or World of Color. But you've got dozens and dozens of performers. I love Fantasmic, especially the California version. Not a huge fan of the Florida version, though. I like the new version much better than the old one.
Yes, I also feel like when I go in that theater, I'm trapped. You ever feel like that?
Exactly.
A little
Yes.
claustrophobic there, but at Disneyland, you're not going in a theater. You're just in the park. Yes, I do prefer it.
I mean, they did a large refurb of Fantasmic in Disneyland not that many years ago, updating the soundtrack, updating some of the scenes, and to just ditch all that work and have it go completely dark, I think would be a shame. I would love to see them come up with a new finale that is just as impressive in its own way and is not just let's throw a dragon on a mist screen and hope no one notices.
They'll surprise us.
Yeah, maybe they'll surprise us. But for now, what we know is in case you've been somehow hiding underneath Tom Sawyer Island and missed the news, back on April 23rd, the Maleficent Dragon animatronic known as Murphy accidentally caught fire. Little mishap with his flamethrower, and the whole thing basically melted. So most of the other infrastructure of the island and the stage survived pretty well. But still some damage, and so it's going to take until spring of 2024. And as always, spring can be anything from like early February to like late May. Yes. But hopefully that will be up and running for the spring break crowds. It will not include the dragon figure when it comes back, but it will feature new special effects and a new climactic scene that will still have Sorcerer Mickey and Maleficent. It will probably be a poor actor strapped on a cherry picker, waving their arms around wildly as projection mapping goes off. But it'll be something. And until that happens, right now in the evenings, they have put Queenie and the Jambalaya Jazz Band out on a float, one of the rafts that they use to transport over to Tom Sawyer Island, and have them doing jazz band concerts. So not quite as big a draw as Fantasmic is. The good news is it should make foot access to like Pirates of the Caribbean and Haunted Mansion a lot easier if you want to hit those in the evening, because like trying to go to those rides when Fantasmic's going on is a nightmare.
It's a normal clock, impossible.
But you are also going to see bigger crowds in the fireworks from the main viewing locations on Main Street, and also crowds around like Tomorrowland. A lot of the draw that Fantasmic would pull people out, you're not going to have that. So adjust your touring plan accordingly. And check out our videos on YouTube if you are nostalgic about the old show and want to see it with Murphy. R.I.P. Murph.
R.I.P.
All right, so that is going to bring us to the end of the news. Before we get into this week's main attraction, we are going to hear a quick word from our sponsors.
The Attractions Podcast is brought to you by MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. Whether your next vacation is a magical trip to the theme parks, an exciting adventure to the pyramids of Egypt, or just a relaxing cruise on the turquoise waters of the Bahamas, MEI Travel provides premium service and expert advice to help you get the most of your vacation. They are always free of any hidden fees or costs to you. Visit them at mei-travel.com.
It's time for the main attraction!
All right, you guessed it.
Yay.
This main attraction. If you were annoyed that Universal was not giving you a steady stream, drip, 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 all summer of Halloween Horror Nights announcements, well, here it is. They just dumped it all on you in a bucket. We have the full, complete lineup for Halloween Horror Nights 2023, which is kicking off ever so soon on September 1st and running through November 4th. We've also got some updated Halloween Horror Nights Hollywood announcements. We got all the houses, all the scare zones, a live show to go through. We honestly, if we went in depth into each of these, we would be here for an hour. So we're just going to try to fly through them in about 10-15 minutes and give some hot takes. We already knew that we were going to have a Chucky house. They announced Chucky as part of the event way back when, but now we know it's called Chucky Ultimate Kill Count and is based on both the USA Sci-Fi TV series and the original films. They say that this is giving him the starring role in his own haunted house for the first time. I could have sworn there was a Chucky haunted house years ago.
So I think the haunted house is part of the story. So I saw discussing this. The descriptions are a little
That's
weird.
Kind of meta. All right.
On the website. In the press release, it was a little bit more detailed. And also, if anyone listens to the Discover Universal podcast, I haven't listened to it yet, but they just dropped like an in-depth episode on this. So I need to go listen to it. But yes, there was one. So this is like the haunted house is part of the storyline, I think. I got to listen to it.
Next up is The Exorcist Believer. And I had gotten hints that there would be an Exorcist haunted house, but I had assumed it would just be a reproduction of the Exorcist house they did a few years ago, just like they've done American Werewolf multiple times. But no, this is based on the all-new film, kicking off a new Blumhouse franchise. And this is kind of two birds with one stone, because I was like, is there going to be an Exorcist house? Is there going to be a Blumhouse? Well, Blumhouse is the Exorcist house.
Yes. We can't see the movie before HHN starts, so I'm a little sad.
Yeah. This is basically the house is going to be one big spoiler, because the movie does not hit theaters until October 13th. but you are going to be able to experience in haunted house form on September 1st. Next up, we knew there would be a Universal Monsters house. They've been using their classic monsters for several years now, but this year the theme is Unmasked. It's very clever because it is taking several Universal villains that are known for their masks. There's the Phantom of the Opera. There's the Invisible Man. And there's going to be the Hunchback of Notre Dame and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde all battling each other underground in Paris, the catacombs of Paris.
Catacombs. Oh my God, this
Yes.
sounds so good.
Yes. Well, the Catacombs haunted house that they did years and years ago, which was not a Universal Monsters, it was non-IP. That was one of my favorite houses of all time. So if they can combine that aesthetic with like Phantom of the Opera and Hunchback, that'll be special. Previously we already knew that we were going to get The Last of Us and Stranger Things, but we also got confirmation on some original houses that are really interesting. What I think is interesting is that a couple of these houses and scare zones are tying together a kind of a new icon who's always been there in the background, Dr. Oddfellow. If you know the history of Jack the Clown, who is Universal's most popular icon over the years, he was kind of created, his backstory was that he was part of this traveling carnival run by Dr. Oddfellow.
So he was kind of like his boss, essentially.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now we're going to kind of see we've gotten glimpses of him over the years, but we've never really gone in depth into this character.
Yes. So I think he first appeared in like 10, but now it seems like it's his time to shine. Like you said, he's getting house treatment. He's getting scare zone treatment. So I'm really excited about this because I kind of love like carnies and like the demented carny thing. And of course we all love Jack. So Jack murdered him, right, in the story?
Well, we don't have confirmation on whether Jack. I've got to believe there's got to be at least a Jack Easter egg, if not a cameo appearance.
Has to be.
Maybe it'll be like one of those things where you go through and one time he's there and one time he's not, and people talk about, hey, did you see Jack or not?
Can't wait.
So we'll see. But so Dr. Oddfellow is getting his own house. There is going to be, I think this is so cool, a haunted house based on dueling dragons called Dueling Dragons Choose Thy Fate, a horrifying twist to the sinister battle between fire and ice. And if you have not been around Universal long enough to remember what Dueling Dragons was, before we had the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, when the Lost Continent had that whole area of Islands of Adventure, there was the Dueling Dragons roller coaster, which became the Dragon Challenge roller coaster. Was still an okay roller coaster, a very good roller coaster until it stopped dueling, and then it was an okay roller coaster. I still like Hagrid's better as an overall experience, but there was nothing like the queue of Dueling Dragons. It was filled with skeletons and skulls and bizarre combinations, and you could hear a dragon behind a wall that was like banging and growling. And
it was so creepy. Even like I'll never forget this as a kid. Even the kid swap was fully themed, and I just have vivid memories like dropping my sister off there, and I was like, "This is the scariest kid swap ever."
And one of my favorite memories of when Universal first was building and opening Islands of Adventure. I was an employee then, and we got to do various previews and testing of all of the attractions. And I remember walking through for the first time the full queue of Dueling Dragons, and just walking and walking, and that queue was so long. Like the Hagrid's queue is still very long, but they've actually subdivided it in order to have express and single rider. So you actually went through a bit more when there was only a standby queue. And I remember walking through it with a group of people and having one person behind me say, "Oh my God, this is amazing. We should do a Horror Nights house in this queue." And Michael Moorman, who's the one of the directors of entertainment for Universal, then was right ahead of me and said, "Oh no, we couldn't do that. We'd never do that in here." And so to finally, all these years later, to finally have a haunted house bringing back to life Dueling Dread, that is hands down what I am most excited for.
So what I am most excited for is an adorable, maybe murderous Yeti. I will be saying, just get ready. I'm going to be saying Yeti or Not, Here I Come during HHN.
Yeti or Not.
A lot. This is set in the 1950s. It's going to be so cool.
Yes, it's gonna, and they do such a good job when they do these kind of wilderness, like indoor forest kind of environments. Like if anything could dethrone the HHN bear, I think it will be the HHN Yeti. You know, one that we don't really know a whole lot of. I heard this one referred to as Crossroads, kind of inspired by the legend of Robert Johnson, who was a blues guitarist who was rumored to have sold his soul to the devil.
This is the Darkest Deal.
Darkest Deal, yes. So I think there's going to be kind of like a Southern blues feel to it.
Yes.
Don't really know a lot of details.
So it says it takes place in the Mississippi Delta,
and
he is going to sell his soul for musical glory. So that could be good. That could be really cool.
And this one, our last one, Blood Moon Dark Offering, involves a colonial cult making blood sacrifices to the blood moon. Sounds a bit like the Roanoke one that we had a few years ago. Anytime we have crazy crazy colonizers, hell yeah. But the scare zones, we already touched on the fact that Dr. Oddfellow is going to be kind of a running theme throughout all the scare zones. And I love that. I know we've gotten away from the overarching icon in the last few years, that Halloween Horror Nights itself is the icon, is what the designers tell us. I like having a theme that kind of ties together. And if you don't care about it, you don't have to pay attention to it. But it's kind of under the surface, and I love that.
I like it too because it's also fun to dress up with themes. So you could do some really cool.
If you want to go Dr. Oddfellow bounding this year.
Yes, get those red and white striped pants.
So he's got one that's just themed straight out to him. So Dr. Oddfellow's Collection of Horrors. There's a dark zodiac with signs of the zodiac come to life. Jungle of Doom, which this is kind of a deep cut. Back when Horror Nights was at Islands of Adventure, they had a Jurassic Park area haunt called Jungle of Doom. So this is maybe a callback to that.
I think wasn't it there was a foam part too? I remember.
Oh yes, Tweaks and Foons in Toon Lagoon, where they had a waist deep foam party.
That was so fun.
That poor maintenance crew, trying to clean that up. Oh,
at 3 a.m.
Yeah, right. And this one is definitely going to be the selfie station haunt, where people just treat it as a giant photo op. Vamp 69 Summer of Blood. I loved the 50s themed vamp that they had a few years ago. There was a 90s one that was okay, but they've kind of reproduced. It's like a Woodstock style stage that they've got out there, and I'm sure they're going to be vampire musicians up there. It looks great. And Shipyard 32 Horrors Unhinged. This looks interesting to me because anytime they do a haunted ship or haunted docks or harbors, it is always so good.
Hello, last year that was the most visually stunning house. I'm so excited.
In terms of the experiences, there's going to be a new version of the Nightmare Fuel Nightmare Fuel show. This has traditionally been in the Fear Factor Live stadium. It's called Revenge Dream this year. And I betcha it'll be the same sort of thing with some tweaked magic tricks and some new dancing and people
It's a good show.
flinging
It's fun.
pie
So,
around.
you know,
It's it's a lot of fun. It's got great energy. It's got pyro. It's got aerial performers. It's got music that will make your ears bleed.
Yes. Oh, it's a little naughty too, you know. All those
There is no mention whatsoever of a lagoon show this year.
No.
We've seen work going on that lagoon for months. It took hurricane damage last year and never been the same since. The daily regular nighttime lagoon show has been put to bed permanently. And we know that they're working on something new, but apparently there will be, I guess, unless there's a surprise announcement later, there will not be a lagoon show this year, which is a bit of a shame. And I'd seen on some speculation maps thoughts of maybe putting a show of some sort on Hollywood, where they set up a stage for the Rock the Universe and the grad events, but doesn't look like anything happening there. Right. Another bit of a surprise, the Tribute Store is going to be themed to a New York City comic book shop. And a lot of people think that means that it is moving back to New York, back to next to the Mummy. Now, I was just at the park and they were using the extended queue of the Mummy as extended queue for the Mummy. So if they want to put a tribute store in there, they've got to stop doing that and start building it like now.
Yes.
So, and then it begs the question, what happens to the current tribute store in Hollywood that's right now themed to Jurassic Park?
Could stay open longer. Yep.
Musical chairs with the tribute stores. I am glad to see that the Dead Coconut Club, aka Red Coconut Club, is coming back. They'll have a new theme and a new menu. And speaking of menus, they've got all sorts of new food and beverage items coming back this year, along with what I think is a kind of controversial option. I think we need to talk just for 1 minute here. I know you've got to run. You have to run, but boy, they've got this thing called Taste of Terror. And Carly, how much would you pay for, before Halloween has even started, before there is any haunted houses to see or shows to experience, how much would you pay just to go into the park for a couple hours and have all you can eat samples of the food and beverages that are coming to Halloween Horror Nights?
Okay, so a lot I would pay. First off. Secondly, HHN, there's so much going on that if you are just going for one time, I mean, usually I will go at least a few times to experience everything. It is impossible. It's now turned into like a Disney after hours event where you have to really strategically plan, like, okay, I'm going to hit these houses. I'm going to do Stay and Scream. Then you add in that last year there was over 100 different specialty food and drinks. And a lot of us, that frequent the Orlando parks, we love the food festivals, SeaWorld, Disney. HHN now is basically its own like food and wine festival. And I know people last year that started going that didn't do the houses at all and would just do the eats. So I was doing a story last year about some of my favorite food. So I sampled like as much as I could opening weekend. I think I spent out of my own pocket over $300. And like that wasn't scratching the surface. Okay. So for the people that love the food element of this, I think paying $169.
Yes, plus admission. You also have to have regular daytime.
Correct.
Admission.
This is definitely targeted towards a niche person.
I was going to say, I think the niche here is people who are really obsessed with the Halloween Horror Nights food, which to me is often very creative. But it is often either over sugared or over salted, and definitely a lot more about the the name and the appearance sometimes than the taste. Though there has been some really good stuff. I think this sounds to me like a media event where like you usually like we would be invited to one of these things so we could like take pictures and write about. This is like if you're a blogger or a vlogger and you're not invited to media events, I think that they're trying to monetize you.
Yes,
That's
and you
what
get
it
to go
sounds like to
into
me.
yes, you get to go into Soundstage 33, which is the private event space that's like just past Jimmy Fallon. There's a photo opportunity, which makes me think there's going to be like a scare actor.
There'll probably be a handful of scare
Yeah.
actors. Yeah. And speaking of scare, this is kind of like we used to have the scare actor dining as like a pre-event option. And there has been no sign of that this year. It does not look like the scare actor dining is coming back. So this is sort of the substitute for it at a much higher price point.
Yes, this is before HHN starts. So
I'm
ready for spooky season to start now. So I am going to try to go to the first night, which is August 10th, because I'm ready for it to begin. So if you are excited, which, the HHN community is fierce, they love it, give us more. I think this is a great event and I think it'll do well. And, again, it's a niche person.
I'm sure it'll do. Yeah, it is definitely a niche event. I personally would love if we could see them opening up the food booths during the afternoons before the event starts. Like give us a preview, maybe the 27th through the 31st.
Right. And it's like some stuff open, the Universal festivals, you never really know the times of when things are opening. Some stuff opens early. So if you have your heart set on something, it's never a guarantee, but I think it should.
Yeah, a lot. Some days, especially on busier nights, they do get those open in the afternoons. But it's a staffing issue a lot of the time. They don't have enough bodies to man all of these booths.
And there's
I also wouldn't mind seeing them try a mobile order system because the booths lines can get really long.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. But we shall see. So there's so much more Halloween Horror Nights to talk about. There's exclusive experiences at Cabana Bay. There's going to be a Chucky's Twisted Playground photo illusion experience.
Yes. And now all the hotels will get in on the action for the first time.
Yes. And they are also, the tickets, the Frequent Fear, the Rush of Fear, the Behind the Screams, everything is on sale now. RIP tours are selling out quick. If you want to go on a popular night and you haven't gotten yours yet, you might be out of luck.
I booked it the first day it became available, and they said like there was already a ton already booked.
Yep. HalloweenHorrorNights.com is the place for all the information about Universal Orlando's Horror Nights, as well as the one in Hollywood, which, as I mentioned, we've got confirmation on Chucky for them, Exorcist for them, and Universal Monsters, all going to be on both coasts.
So all the IPs are the same, essentially.
Yes, a lot of sharing this year. Yes,
but there are subtle differences in the houses. They're just a little like Blumhouse last year, just a little slightly different. But I like the original houses are different for the most part at Hollywood, which I'm excited to hear about those.
Yeah, I say traditionally Hollywood often had better masks and makeup effects, whereas Universal would have better sets. Hollywood a lot of time would have a lot of black walls and kind of empty hallways. They have stepped up their game a bit in the last couple of years and improved. Still, I don't think quite up to the level of Orlando, but they've leveled up, and it's always interesting if you are bi-coastal to get to experience a house on both coasts. And be able to kind of compare the differences.
Oh yeah, their original IPs last year were amazing. The La Lorna house was amazing.
Yes,
the Haunted Hotel, that old school hotel, amazing.
All right, so that brings us to the end of yet another episode. Before we go, we need to take a very brief look back into the comments from today's episode. And just we had visits from N Wiser saying hi. Vince Lamb saying good morning. Simone Cruz watching from the Philippines.
Ooh, love it.
Gustav Christensen, we love you too.
We love you.
Morning to you, Cliff Flicks. And Michael Bingham, of course. Welcome as always. And Magic City Mayhem chiming in on Chucky. He says that on the podcast they described the Chucky house as Chucky not liking the fact that people were actually getting murdered in the house. So he kills everyone and takes possession of the dolls. Okay.
I'm gonna listen to it tomorrow because I'm still a little confused.
Yeah. Who else do we have? Magic City Mayhem also says we are going to get to see Jack get murdered in the Oddfellow house and to see Jack give Oddfellow his scar. Thrill Geek and I are on the same page. Yay! The hype is real for the Dueling Dragons house. It is apparently going to have 4 different endings. I love when they have multiple endings. And you will not have to go through metal detectors.
This is a genius.
No one's gonna lose an eye. No one's gonna lose an eye. We did talk about the show, the Lagoon show, and I had also thought that drone testing that we saw a while back might have had something to do with that show, but no, I guess not. But we do know I did neglect, and that $160 something bucks you're paying for the tasting event, you do get a Blinky cup.
Ooh.
And a special Halloween freestyle cup along with that.
No alcohol is included, which I'm a little bummed that.
So I was confused. It said a hosted bar. Now, it didn't say a cash bar. It said a hosted bar.
I normally looked in the fine print. The fine print, I'm almost confident it said you have to pay for alcoholic beverages.
Oh, I mean, to pay 106, we'll have to check into that because to pay $160 and still have to pay for alcohol does not seem reasonable to me. And Wiser, I think we mentioned this in a past episode. Yeah. I did get to see Six the Musical. I'm glad you got to see it. I saw it on tour, and actually know folks who were involved with the version on the cruise ships that goes on. That's on the Norwegian cruise line. Really surprised me. Fun show. Great energy. I'm definitely not the target age demographic for it, but I really like the music. There's some catchy tunes. All right. Well, thank everyone for joining us. We want to thank once again our sponsors, MEI and Mousefan Travel. Remind everyone, please give us a rating and a review. Follow us on attractionsmagazine.com. Carly, where can everyone find you?
Yes, I am on Instagram at Adventures by Carly and Carly Caramana on Twitter.
I am, I guess, not on Twitter anymore because now I'm on X or Threads or whatever at The Unofficial Guides at S. Kuberski. Just search for Attractions Magazine on your favorite socials, wherever you are. And until next week, we hope you folks stay safe, try something new, but most importantly, have fun. And we'll see you again next time. Bye.